Everyone, I am back in Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford today, and I have picked this picture. Now we have an air balloon, obviously, but it reminds me of this little bit at the top here. Makes me feel like it could be made into like a Christmas tree ornament, like a bauble or something like that. We've got quite a wintry look with this snow, these pine trees and the stars and things. So I thought I'm going to make it into a sort of Christmassy looking type picture as best I can. Sorry, I'm just fiddling around with it at the minute. So we're going to come in a bit closer. We're just going to make a start on the pieces in the centre. I'm going to move it in a minute and then see how we get on, really. There we go. I'm going to start with the trees. Now I've got my Derwent Chromaflow pencils. I just didn't think I'd use those for a while. I'm not sure if I've used them in this book, so just grabbing my swatch chart out so I can decide on tree colour. Oh, I'm feeling a bit warm, which is a bit strange. I'm going to grab the basil. You may have noticed that I have not been complaining that I've been getting hot flushes for ages, and that's because I haven't been. This is basil. I'm going to be doing, let's do this big one at the back. I'm just going to put a layer of basil on there, and then I'll decide where I want to put it a bit darker. No, my HRT is working really well, and I also think that because it's a bit cooler, it helps. I never get as many hot flushes in the sort of winter anyway, but actually it's now working so well that it's not waking me in the night either, so it's fantastic. There have been a few side effects. I had a bit of a headache when I first started taking it, but that's gone, so that's fine. I mean, it may not have been from that anyway, you know, you're never too sure. The other side effect, I get a few spots every now and again, which is a bit annoying, and I've put on a bit of weight, which I think is a side effect. So, I mean, again, it's not always easy to tell, but I think it's worth it because I feel, I'm just going to put another layer on. I want it a little bit darker all over. I feel so much better, so much calmer, so much, I find it so much easier to manage my stress. It's just really good, so I'm very happy. Anyway, I've had an interesting few days. We had snow yesterday. It was interesting. We woke up and it was, well, I woke up early and it was absolutely hammering down with rain. I could hear it drumming on the windows, you know, really heavy. And my son left for uni, and it was all, I think it stopped raining by then. Now I don't know if I want to make my tree look liney, like there's pine needles or not. I'm just having a think. I don't think I do. I'm just going to put on another layer. I'm not pressing very hard, and it's not coming up as dark as I wanted, so I'm just layering up a little bit more. And then at about, what time was it? It was before my husband left for work. It was about 8:30. It started hailing really loud and heavy and settling, that hail. Then it snowed on top, and it snowed all morning. It didn't really settle that much, but I did go out, but it had stopped snowing by the time I went out, and took some photos, which actually I put on my Ko-fi, because this was, what day is it today? Oh yeah, it was the 20th of November. I am recording way in advance, because it was then I put some pictures up on Ko-fi. So if you go back, there's 2. I think most people didn't realise there was 2 who noticed the pictures were there. I think I might do this colour for, the trees look like they're similar. I'm going to do it on the other plain one over here. But I'm going to sort of layer up a little bit more as I go, so I don't have to do several layers at once. Yes, I put a few pictures up on my Ko-fi of sort of snowy leaves. It was the autumn leaves with the snow on it. It was so pretty. It was just lovely. I walked along the canal on the way out, and it was lovely. And then on the way back I walked along the road and it was all dripping on my head, and a bird pooped on me as well, so it was it wasn't the best choice of route. You'd have thought that would have been more likely along the canal. I have had birds poop on me along the canal too, and also along the road. So yeah, I'm obviously very lucky, because apparently it's good luck if that happens. But yeah, on my on the knee of my jeans and then the pocket of my coat. Now my coat is dry clean only, so I was like, what am I going to do? So obviously threw my jeans straight in the wash, that was no worry. But my coat, I'm going to use the pine green next. I'm just looking for it. Here we go. Here it is, pine green. So I sponged off the pocket with a sort of wipe thing, and then that just shredded white bits of wipe on the pocket and didn't clean it, so that was a waste of time. So this morning it was still icky, so I got a just a cleaning cloth and wetted it. It's like a microfiber cloth, that got it off, and got my coat looking okay again. My coat is really scruffy and old. I was tempted to just screw it up and throw it in the bin, but I haven't got a new one yet. My sister's actually picked it up for me today. I ordered it from Primark, but we don't have one in our town, and none of the local ones had it in the colour that I wanted, but hers did, and she goes near the Primark every week, and so I asked her if she could pick it out, which she did, and she is going to give it to me. We're seeing each other in December, so it'll be a little while yet, so I still need my warm coat for a while. It's her daughter, my niece's birthday, and we're getting together for that, so she'll bring it to me then, so that'll be good. But it's a bit of a wait because it's about 3 weeks yet, so yeah, it needs a bit of yeah. So anyway, I've got the other one now, it's okay, but it's getting old. Those colours are so similar, aren't they? You can barely tell they're different. We'll do the other one a bit different. I'm just having a look. I think the obsidian green is probably the best. It's quite dark, so I think it'll work okay. Here it is. And then I'll decide if I want to make either of those two a bit different. This one is quite light, so I might put another colour on top. But we'll do this obsidian green first. Yeah, so it would be nice. I've got quite a lot of things on this week-ish. In the next week, should I say. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm supposed to be meeting a friend for a walk, although she wasn't sure if she could make it. Then Saturday I've got my usual shopping and cleaning and farmer's market and all those things, and then Sunday we're going to see father-in-law, which will be nice, and then Monday I'm meeting a different friend. It's her birthday, so we're having a coffee, so all sorts going on. It'll be lovely. And I went to town today, actually. I'm not long back, as the snow's all gone. I've cooled down now a bit, actually. Not too cool though, just to put my sleeves up a bit because I'm a bit hot. Yeah, I got a few Christmas presents. I'm started really early this year, and because, well, last year we got COVID just at the time when I would normally be doing Christmas shopping, and I hadn't got everything I wanted, and then I couldn't get it all, and in time for when we had get-togethers and things, when we had to take presents. So this year I'm sort of wanting to make sure I get things done. Now I think these need to be different colour. I can add a colour on top. I'm just looking. I think I might use the leaf green. It's quite dark, and I think I might put it on top of this one because that one isn't so intensely coloured. I'm only going to put this on lightly. I just want to darken it so it looks different, like we've got 3 different colours of tree. That's better. There, that's much better. And I've got some leaves on the sides as well. I was just thinking, oh, I could do those autumnal, but no, because this is a winter picture, I need to remind myself it's not autumn in this picture. It might be in my head, but it isn't in this picture, so we need to make sure we do an appropriate colour. So I'm thinking if there's leaves and it's winter, then they'll be evergreen. Now evergreens are usually quite waxy and dark. So we'll see if we can find something like that. This has gone a little bit olivey for what I want really, but I think it's okay really. It does now, they all look different, which is what I wanted. Now Chromaflow pencils can sometimes benefit from having a bit of a blend with a blending pencil. I'm just saying I haven't got a... No, I was trying to see if I had a Derwent blending pencil, but I don't. I've got a Prismacolor blending pencil, which I know works on Derwent pencils, so I'm going to use that. But the Derwent blender is obviously very good for the Derwent pencils, but this is a Prisma blender, and I'm just going to go over this. And what it does is it eliminates that white paper, which I want to particularly do on these trees, because I might later put some snow on this picture. I haven't decided quite yet. If I do, I'm going to want a nice solid base to put that snow on. So that was my thinking. And it just makes them look a little bit darker. I mean, you might like that sort of stripy look that looks a bit more like pine needles, but I like it. And this will help to mix these two colours a little bit better, I think. Now it's ideally when you're blending you want to clean the blender between each colour, because if you look it gets all mucky on the tip. I'm just going to do that between this green and next one because it's a bit more. You just scribble it onto a piece of scrap paper and then it cleans it off. And you can also sharpen it off, but it depends whether you want it sharpened or not. There we go. Our trees. Right, I'm happy with those now. I'm just going to brush that off because it's given us a few crumbs. Crumbs, that's the right word, obviously. Now, I'm trying to move my brain into Christmas mode. What colour would this Christmassy house be? I'm thinking that I'm going to do these leaves. I'm going to be thinking about that house. Now, I'm quite keen to do more bluey greens for the leaves because I think that looks a little bit more Christmassy. Now we've got a tropical rain which is bluish green, and we've got the sort of field grey cactus. Those are more grey greens. I think I will use the tropical rain. It's very bright, but I think it might just look rather pleasant on the edge of the page there. If it is too bright, I can dull it down with the field grey. So we'll apparently just do a dot there. Don't do that. Well, you can if you think it looks attractive, but personally, I don't think it really adds anything. So I'm going to try and fade it a little bit towards the tip of the leaf. It is vibrant, but I like it. Now you could use your field grey at the base and then use this with it, but they're not natural neighbours, if you know what I mean, so it might take a little bit of blending to do that. So I think it's probably easier to just try and fade this one down a little bit. Now of course you don't have to do all these leaves the same colour. I think it just creates a nice sort of, sorry I've got an itchy eye, a nice sort of border look if they're all the same colour. Yeah, I got my niece's Christmas present. I've been umming and ahhing a little bit. I had an idea that I wanted to look and see. I'm sure she doesn't watch my videos, but anyway. I wanted to look and see if I could find something of a particular type in a particular shop. Oh, very secret squirrel. and I did, so I'm very pleased. But it wasn't quite as expensive as I was going to pay, so I went and got something to go with it. So I got all her Prezi, so that's great. I'm sort of getting there really. There's, yeah, I've got a few things to get still. It tends to be husband's family that tends to take longer, because I never quite sure what to get, and also I have to ask him, whereas he's not that bothered about anything else. He just lets me get on with it, you know. These are a bit paler on the tip. I quite like that, but I'm going to use the pastel mint, I think, to just burnish them a little bit, you see. But yeah, we'll do this side first. So yes, his family is tricky, like his dad, for example, he needs to ask. But actually, as I'm seeing him at the weekend, I might ask him. And his cousin, one of his cousins we buy for, but only one. I wonder whether we should stop really, but I mean, if it was him, he wouldn't. But she used to always buy him things, so I used to buy back. And I just don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh well, I'll talk to him about it. I was actually watching, I think Martin Lewis was on last night. He's a like money saving guru, and he was saying how we should, how Christmas gift giving gets too much, and that a lot of people just find it too expensive. And if you approach them and say, look, let's just not do it this year anymore, you know, he said a lot of people are really relieved and they want to stop because it's just too expensive. And I think that's a good idea as well, and I have suggested it to a selection of people, but everyone I've suggested it to has said they didn't want to do it. They didn't want not to give presents this pastel mint, they wanted to continue. So yeah, so it carries on. But I try very hard to get things that are practical and useful rather than just stuff. A lot of shops just have, oh, here's a quiz, here's a game, here's a thing, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to get useful things, or things that are nicely boxed so they could be regifted or donated to a charity shop, something like that. You know, I don't mind at all if people do that with things that I give them, you know. I would rather they did that than it just sat there or they threw it away or whatever. You know, by all means, re-gift it. Save yourself some money on a different occasion type thing. But anyway, so yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? And I saw there was a moral dilemma on his email where someone said, me and a group of friends always give presents to our children, and I've got one child and they've all got two, so I end up spending a lot more than they do. You know, and receiving less back, and they want to change it to money this year. What should I do? Because I end up spending a lot, sort of thing. And there was a very interesting selection of responses. This is natural brown. Some people saying, well, if you give money and they give it back, it's like you're just paying past the parcel with money. It's a waste of time, and the kids don't actually have any fun because they don't really get anything to open. So I think it depends on the age of the children, to be honest. But it's a difficult one because people have such strong opinions on money for presents. I would much rather give money than a voucher or a present that someone's not going to like, because they can then buy themselves something they want or save the money. If I give them a voucher, they'll go to X shop and they'll probably end up spending more than the voucher, and then they'll be spending out. I don't want to force people to spend extra money, you know. So I'm not keen on that. So it's tricky, isn't it? As I say, everyone's got their own opinion on it. So I've given my nieces and nephews money for their birthdays this year. The first one who had the first one in the year had his birthday, he wanted money. So then I just did the same for all of them so that there was no jealousy, you know. I'm thinking about the roof of my housey castle chalet building. And I'm thinking a silvery roof might look a little Christmassy. Now we have a winter lake colour here in our greys, which is really pretty. There is a silver. I'm going to avoid that at the minute. I'm just going to use this winter lake. Now we've got individual tiles on this part, so we're going to deal with that first. And I find the best way is to make it dark at the top and then try and reduce the amount of colour towards the base. If we do that on each row, it can look a little bit 3D, and with this it fading, it looks a bit more silvery as well, which is nice for our sort of Christmassy theme. Like this. I feel it's a bit of a shame that this book doesn't have any proper Christmas pictures in, but I guess some people don't like Christmas, some people don't celebrate Christmas, and you know, Christmas colouring only lasts for what, 4 weeks a year, maybe 2 months, you know, so I guess, but there are some pages in here which I think are a little bit seasonal, like the pumpkin house, for example. Right, just blocking in those bits. Okay, so there's the first roof. Now this roof here, I'm going to just fade it down to the bottom, so layering it up at the top and then just fading it down. And same here. Now I am thinking hard about what colour brickwork to do, because, you know, Christmas buildings and that sort of thing, but I don't think, I'm thinking like, you know, let's say this is a inside a see-through glass Christmas tree ornament, or maybe even like a sort of snow globey type thing. It wouldn't be like Christmas coloured like red, you know, you don't get that sort of thing, so I'm thinking maybe we'll just go with cold colour like blue, perhaps. I'm going to fade that up to the tip. That's my sort of initial thought. But we've got this stonework here, which almost, and this stripy bit, which almost implies we've got bricks and wood. But I don't really want to go brick red. That's not, I want to keep cold colours. I think will be more in keeping with this theme for this building part anyway. So I think I might go, I'm going to grab the periwinkle. Where is it? Is that up there? Nope. There it is. Now this is quite a grey blue, and I think it's a nice cold colour for what I want to achieve here. So I'm going to start it here. Now this tower is going to be round, as you can see the way it's drawn. So what we need to do to help emphasise that is to fade our colour towards the middle, and then it will help it to look round, because this will look like it's shadowy and sort of tucked around the corner, and this will look like it's really close to us and therefore catching the light and brighter. Okay, we do the same with this one. I'm actually going to ignore the bricks at the moment. They will get some work done on them in a bit. So again, lots of layers here, and then less towards the middle, so it looks a bit lighter. I'm going to come back and do this bit in the brickwork in a bit, but I'm going to do this again. I think it'll be darker nearer the tower actually. And this bit in here. Now, what are we going to do with this one? Well, I think we'll just go for it under here, this colour. And we'll just pretend it's painted wood or something. I want it all to sort of be the same and matching. Ties it together as a building, which I think it is all the same building, but also as a piece of art, you know, brings it together. A piece of art. I've never referred to my work as art before. Isn't that funny? I never think of it as a piece of art. I just think of it as colouring. Doesn't matter, I don't interested me when I thought about it like that. I'm doing these rather more evenly because they're not rounded, square, I think. Anyway, like that, and then this one the same. Just looking up to see how we're doing time-wise. Now my main problem with this picture that I'm trying to think about at the minute is what to do for the background, because if this is a hot air balloon, it's floating in the sky, so we can do a sky stencil, easy, pastel sky. But if this is a Christmas tree decoration, it's hanging on a Christmas tree, not flying in the sky. So that was the periwinkle. I was going to use the glaucous blue, but it's so similar that I think I'm going to use the blue yonder because it's a bit different. Here we go, blue yonder. I'm going to sharpen it because I need to sharpen it for the for some of the detailed bits. There we go. For under here, for example, I'm going to go under the roof and around here. You can see it's just a slightly different shade of blue, but I think it matches. Again, build up that colour on the edges, get a bit lighter in the middle. We'll do that in a minute. On here I'm just going to keep it fairly even. There we go. Got no door. Let's be round the back. Maybe it's down the side between these two. Something I haven't done is drawn in any shadows, which, you know, from the fact that they're overlapping. Oh, an itch. Now I'm going to sort of go around the edges of these bricks just to emphasise them as they've been drawn in. Like that. Now shadow work I'm going to do with the darker pencil. Let me see what we've got. I think the denim is a good one. There we go. I don't want to go do one of the really dark colours because I think that'll be overwhelming. There we go. Denim. And we're going to go under here and under here. Down the side here. Under the roof. Oh, we haven't done the chimney, have we? Under the roof here. Under these roofs. So we're trying to draw in what might be a little bit of a shadow. There we go. I've suddenly really got into Christmas colouring. It's very odd because I was umming and ahhing for ages, not really in the mood for it. I mean, it is November after all. But suddenly what did I colour? I can't remember. That little bit there I feel should be in our periwinkle. Just that bit there. Yeah. Okay, now the windows. Now, because this is a cold piece in here, I think our windows need to be a cold yellow, if that makes sense, rather than a warm orange or brownish yellow. Now we have a colour called soft yellow and we have a lemon. I'm thinking between the two. The soft yellow is just a pale, but it's quite cream-like, whereas the lemon is probably the better idea because it's colder. If you look at it, that's not the lemon, that's the citrus yellow, that's too green. This is the lemon, but I don't want it to be too bright, so I'm going to use it quite gently just to make sure that it's not overtaking our picture too much. But we still want our house to look like it's got welcoming windows rather than black or grey. It's a nighttime scene, we need to think about sky. So, you know, it's lights would be on. Well, unless people are out, but you know, I think it looks nice. There we go. Just really light and simple. Now the sky is quite tricky. What colour do we do a night sky? Well, we do have a sort of quite a lot of dark colours. We have the Picardy blue, the Egyptian blue, the lagoon, the peacock blue. They're all very dark. We also have things like the charcoal grey, the neutral grey, or the black. We even could do a slate grey. So it's a tricky decision actually, and I think I'm going to use the Egyptian blue. It's really very dark, and I feel it's right for night time. However, I'm not going to press really hard, so I'm going to use it reasonably lightly, particularly to start with, to see how it looks. Now this is not a colour that I like. I'm not keen on this sort of really dark blues, which is another reason why I'm being a little bit cautious and using it a little bit lightly. But we'll see how it sits, and we can always put other colours over the top. You know, it's just all depends on how it looks really. Now it's quite a large area to colour. It can be good to take your time. It will be neater if you take your time. I realise that I'm probably going quite fast, so it's worth being a little bit careful. I'm trying to slow myself down a little bit. Now I'm still thinking in my mind about the background. I know what I'm doing with the basket at the base of the balloon, the bit at the top. I haven't thought about what I'm doing with the snow. And what is that underneath the snow? If you're colouring, you'll be able to see. There's a sort of swell. I originally thought it was water, like we're on an island, but I just don't know. It could be cloud. Yeah, not sure. Now I realise the starry night sky is often quite black, but I think that moving away from black can be quite good, having like this blue rather than black. Sky can be quite blue. I did look out a while ago. I was looking for the Northern Lights, which was supposed to be around, which I couldn't see, and the sky was very, very blue the one night. The other night had a slightly green tinge, which I think was the closest to seeing it that I was going to get. It was, when I say green tinge, it was like if I squinted and looked hard and imagined, I thought maybe there's a slight greenness to something there. You know, it wasn't an obvious big splash of green. I've never seen it like that. One day. It's quite interesting how often we can see it. I never knew that we could see it this far south before. I've never heard of it being available to see, and then this year it seems to be loads. I mean, I think this is something to do with some sunspots or something, don't they? I don't know whether it's to do with climate change or if it's nothing to do with that. I don't know, because obviously climate change and weather are very linked, which is interesting. Still haven't done our chimney. Whoops. We'll get there. I haven't decided what colour to do it. That's probably why I haven't done it. You see, I'm trying to keep this quite light but dark. Do you understand what I mean? So it's not intense. It's a dark colour, but it's not put down intensely, so it will still give the impression of night without it having to be really pushed down into the paper. There are a couple of disadvantages of doing a really thick pencil work. Once you put it down, you can't go over the top of it, and you can't erase it very easily. It will stain the paper. I mean, a colour this dark will anyway, however few layers you do. But so if you change your mind, you're sort of done for, or you have to go over it in pen or something. But also it might be more likely to come off and mark the opposite page. The thicker you do, the more likely that's going to happen. So it's probably a good idea to try not to do that. as well. I mean, I do put a piece of paper between the pages if I'm working on the one the other side, like I am here. I've got one. But once I've moved beyond the immediate page, there's no paper in there anymore. Some people do, they put paper in all the time, and although I think that is a really good idea to protect the page all the time, it would really get on my nerves having so many pieces of paper in my book. It would just irritate me so much. I feel I'm prepared to risk some colour transfer across pages than to have that. I mean, obviously you could work through your book in order and then cut a piece of paper exactly the right size and pop it in, and that would be absolutely fine, but that isn't how I work. You know, my pieces of paper tend to overlap the page, so if I use a pastel or something, or even a pencil, and go over the edge, it goes onto the paper rather than the edge of the book. So I tend to like a piece of paper that's slightly bigger than the page. Cutting the papers to exactly the right size will be very cumbersome, so it's just not something I want to do. I know some people, well, I think Susan Wimpney Berry covers her completed pages with a clear sticky plastic, like the stuff we used to use to cover our school books back in the day, and that's another way you can do it. But I would, I'm never sure I'm completely finished with a page, so that would, for me, would be a little bit too final, if you know what I mean. I can see where it is a good idea. I know she got someone saying it's a lot of plastic and waste and things like that, but it's a piece of art. She wants to preserve it, and I can absolutely think that is, it's probably no worse for the environment than using some fixative, which is an alternative solution, which you're using in an aerosol can, you know, which is nasty chemicals, so it's probably just as harmful. But it could be an alternative if you don't want to be messing around with plastic, because I would always think that I might not get it to lie exactly flat. But also a fixative, if you use a workable fixative, then you can rework the page if you decide to, although it's quite hard. Once you put fixative on, it does change the feel of the paper. It makes it feel a lot more toothy. You have to work a lot harder to get colour down on it, etc. So it's not ideal, but it's less permanent, which is the idea. But I don't do that either. I've got to do it on a page soon. Actually, I've got a page in the book, and I used some Senelia pastels, which I thought were chalk, and they weren't. They're oil based and oil pastels, and they have made such a mess that I need to on the pages transferred over really badly. It's horrible. Now I'm kind of finishing in a minute, but I'm just going to talk about this before no, don't do the chimney. But I noticed there are these two drips of water, so this must be the sea, so that'll influence how I colour it. But I'm going to do this chimney, and then I'm going to finish for today, and we'll be back tomorrow to do the rest. I think it just need to break it up a little bit, and I need to go and get a cup of coffee. This is the Oxford grey. I just thought we'd maybe do a slightly different grey for the chimney. There we go. Now I'm just looking at what we've got left. We've got a fair bit, but I think it's all fine. We'll get it done in another video. I need to think about that background. Right, there we go. We don't even have to do background, of course. So there is it so far. I purposely left the moon and stars because I will probably do them in pens, because I want to put some glitter on this page. So I'll probably do that, and maybe some down here as well. So I'm going to leave that for now. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with some more. But thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please do remember to like, subscribe and comment. Thank you to those that do. Have a super day and happy colouring.